In this Greece vlog, we'll take you exploring the mystical Meteora monasteries of Greece.
It's amazing. Out of this world.
In our Meteora Greece tour, we will cover everything you need to know when visiting Meteora and show why this amazing Greece destination should be on your travel bucket list.
Hi, I'm Jay.
And I'm John.
And we're bucket list travellers.
And we're coming to you from Meteora Greece.
So we're just walking up to Meteora now, and I have never seen anything like this in my life. The rock formations are so amazing. They just jut right out of the landscape and they're just spectacular.
To get to Meteora, we're staying at Kalambaka, which is a town just at the base of these mountains. So Meteora isn't actually a town. I guess it's just a series of monasteries that are very high up in the mountains. Meteora means floating rock, and I think it's pretty apt because it just looks like there are these monasteries just suspended in the clouds. It's really pretty.
I am just so impressed at how otherworldly this landscape looks. It's amazing.
So there are currently 6 monasteries left up on the hills. I believe there were over 24 back in the past. Now, if you want to see all of them, it's best to allocate yourself 2 days to see it because they are quite spread out and they're not always open every day. So there is a timetable where each of the monastery closes for a day. So just make sure you check that out before you go up to the monasteries. We arrived in Kalambaka around lunchtime, and so had a quick lunch, and now we're hurrying to get up to two of the monasteries that seem closest to the town. So that's the Holy Trinity Monastery and the St. Stephen's Monastery. So the Holy Trinity one closes at 4 p.m. So it's nearly 3 now. So hopefully we can get there in time. We'll find out shortly.
We might have to name this video how I had a heart attack on the way up to Meteora, because this is a hard climb up. Well, we reached the end of the nature hike portion of the walk up and we've been greeted with this spectacular view. The Monastery of the Holy Trinity is built in the Greek Orthodox style. So the chapels, you can't actually take any videos or photos of the chapels, but they're decorated with really elaborate paintings all over the walls and the ceilings. There are domed ceilings, lots of gold. It's really spectacular. There are beautiful gardens on the grounds of the monastery, and from here you have spectacular views all over this area. You can actually see one of the other monasteries in the background on another set of rocks over there, and it's just a really peaceful area. Now there's also toilets on site if you need them. They are the squat toilets, the Turkish style. It's €3 for entry, and you need to make sure that you have clothing that covers your legs and in a skirt form or with a sarong over your legs. So before we came here, we read that women needed to wear a skirt and men needed to wear pants that go down past their knees. Now, I haven't seen women wearing trousers or pants, and that seems to be fine. If they don't have anything longer to cover themselves, they can wear a sarong or a wrap, and that should be fine as well. Women also need to make sure that their shoulders are covered. So just keep these things in mind when you're deciding what to wear to Meteora. This monastery is open from 10 till 4 every day. Now, it is free to get all the way up to the entrance of the monastery, and you can get some wonderful views from there. But for the best views, you go through the monastery and you get to this garden area which has 360-degree views all around the area. Now the garden area is quite exposed and out in the open with not a lot of shade cover, so I would recommend maybe avoiding the middle of the day, especially during a hot summer's day, because it will get very hot up here. I think coming in the afternoon or early morning is probably the best, obviously within opening times. Next stop is St. Stephen's Monastery. So this one's a little bit more busy because it's a bit more accessible. You can actually drive pretty much to the entrance.
you can see, St. Stephen's is a lot busier than the monastery that Jay was at. So you can get a really nice view overlooking Kalambaka just behind me. And unfortunately I can't show any footage inside the monastery because you're not allowed to. There's some really beautiful tapestries and artwork all over the walls. It's really, really pretty and impressive, just showing biblical times and also the persecution of Greek Orthodox practitioners, priests during the time of the Ottoman period. And there's also a little museum just behind me as well, where you can buy little trinkets and religious artifacts too. It's really nice, and it's probably only about a half an hour visit in total. There's not too much to see other than some amazing views and some amazing artwork in the monasteries. So I'm just going to take you over to the view. I've got a bit of space to myself. There you go. Check out that view. Kalambaka. So there are also some pretty gardens that you can admire around St. Stephen's Monastery. There's one here, and then there's another one just on the other side of me as well. If you're lucky, you might be able to get here in between a lull of buses. So it's quite down now, which is quite nice, and so I've got a bit more space to roam around and have a look at the nice gardens here. Just behind me here you've got a chapel that's really pretty. Unfortunately I can't take you inside because you can't take photos or videos in there, but it's really pretty. There are paintings all over the walls. You're gonna just have to see it for yourself. The St. Stephen's Monastery is open from 9 AM to 5:30 PM. I think that it's a break over lunchtime, and entry is €3. After only just making it in time to visit the Holy Trinity and St. Stephen's monasteries on day 1, we set out early on day 2 to visit the remaining 4 monasteries, beginning with the Monastery of St. Nicholas.
We're at the St. Nicholas Monastery. Now this is one of the least visited monasteries in the Meteora area. It is a little bit away from the rest of them, but it's got beautiful views of the area. It's got a staircase that leads you up to the monastery, and the balcony just before the entrance gives you spectacular views. It is a little bit rickety to stand on, so that's a little bit on the scary side, but can't beat these views. It's really interesting thinking about the logistics of this place and how they get things up to the monastery. So there's a pulley system here where they can pulley up items like furniture and I guess food as well, which would make things a lot more convenient than trying to take them all the way up the stairs. They've even got potable water here. I'm so impressed that they've managed to bring drinkable water all the way up this rock. They've got this really nice balcony area which has great views over the area, and it's a sheltered balcony as well. It gets really nice cool breeze. So even though it's quite a hot day today, it's just really pleasant under here. This would be a great place to commune with your other monks and to really connect with nature and just appreciate this beautiful scenery. High points like this are often sought out as locations for monasteries and religious buildings, and I can understand why. From up here you feel so far removed from the world below, and this area feels like a bridge between heaven and earth. It really has a feeling of peace and serenity, and it's a great place to connect to your higher power. It is so impressive seeing these feats of engineering. I'm just amazed at how they're able to get all of the building materials up onto this precarious position and actually construct something, and something so marvelous as well. Well, I think this is my favourite entranceway so far because you have to come over 2 bridges to get to the entrance. So you can see one behind me here, and it's just panoramic views all around this area. The Rousanou monastery has the biggest chapel I've seen so far. So it has 2 large chambers, lots of religious scenes depicting quite graphic scenes of beheadings and people being roasted over fires and tortured in various ways. It has a large chapel with a domed area which has stained glass windows, which I haven't seen before. So there's circular stained glass windows with different coloured panels. There's a hallway area with a few different religious paintings in there as well. So most of the monastery is undercover. There is this balcony area which I'm on at the moment, and then there's a panoramic area which is not part of the paid area. So again, it's €3 entry for this one. Most of the area doesn't allow filming, and you will find that in all of these monasteries they don't allow filming of the chapel areas. There is also a shop here where you can purchase religious paraphernalia. Yeah, so you don't buy your ticket until you've already passed through the entranceways with these 2 impressive bridges. So I'd just go to the bridges up to the entrance, go to the panorama area, and you're going to get most of the best bits of this monastery. And a word of warning, if you're scared of heights, beware, because these bridges are a little bit scary. For me, the draw card of these monasteries is the impressive outdoor areas, and this monastery behind me doesn't have that in the paid area, so if you have to skip one, this is probably the one I'd skip. Above the Rousanou monastery there is a panoramic lookout point, and you can see 4 of the monasteries right behind me. This is really a place to be wary of if you're afraid of heights. So where I am right now is on a rock ledge overlooking one of the monasteries of Meteora, and John is over there safely on solid ground. The Monastery of Varlaam is the second last monastery we're visiting in Meteora, and by far the most elaborate so far. So it's got a massive outdoor area you can see here with beautiful views. The chapel itself is the biggest we've seen so far as well. It has a entrance area, a foyer area, which is elaborately adorned in a lot of different murals and paintings. That one, I believe you can take videos and photography. I saw a lot of people taking footage there. Inside the chapel, it consists of 2 chambers, and it depicts a lot of very graphic scenes of people being flayed and decapitated and that sort of thing. The second chapel seems to be more about the crucifixion of Christ, and there's a lot of holy scenes there as well, and there's some very elaborate chandeliers in gold and silver. So there's domed roofs. All the surfaces are painted in religious iconography, in religious scenes, with both the walls and the ceilings adorned in very colourful murals, and it is a very spectacular place to visit. So from what I can observe, it seems like a lot of people make the sign of the cross in front of particularly significant pieces of art, and they touch their noses to the pieces of art as well. So I believe this is a sign of respect and part of their religious observations. If you want to know which monastery to visit in Meteora, the Monastery of Varlaam is definitely one of them. It is a gorgeous monastery and very elaborate. It's one of the biggest ones in the area. The first inhabitant of Meteora was the hermit Varlaam, who ascended one of the rocks in Meteora in 1350. There's a museum in the Monastery of Varlaam, and it's really interesting learning a bit more about Greek Orthodox religion here. So all of the monasteries in Meteora have a €3 entry fee, and so far I think that Varlaam gives you the best value for money because it is such a big area. It has not only the cathedral, which is the biggest cathedral that I've seen so far out of the 5 of the 6 that I've visited, but it also has the museum, which is a large museum and has a lot of really interesting pieces in it as well, and provides a lot of history and context about the area. In terms of facilities, Varlaam has the best water closet or toilet facilities that we've seen so far. So they have 3 stalls, they're all the squatting type, but they are flushable, and the entrance is quite nice. It's got automatic sliding opening doors for you, and it's probably the most modern and most well maintained out of the ones that I've seen so far. Varlaam Monastery is quite popular with tour groups, so just be prepared to battle the crowds. One of the most impressive things about these monasteries is just how they got up here back in the day. So you can see behind me there's a winch, and the monks would get behind this winch and winch people up, winch furniture up and food, I guess, as well. And the people on the other side who were getting winched up would come up in these nets. So they'd step in, bundle themselves up, and then they'd be hooked up to the pulley system and winched all the way up this rock. And you can see there were also little crates like this that you could get winched up in or have goods winched up in as well. So really interesting seeing how they managed to navigate this landscape. Some monasteries in Meteora are stricter than others in terms of their dress code. So some allow pants for women, some are very strict about having the skirt or having a cloth around your pants. This one, they do require a skirt or some sort of skirt form. They do sell a cloth that you can put around yourself, and that's €3.
We say the biggest monastery to last, and we got here in the nick of time. It closes at 3 p.m. and it's 2:30, so thankfully we've got a bit of time to enjoy it. So we're in a courtyard and you can see some of the pretty amazing architecture here. So there's a bell, and here is the chapel. That looks really cool, and you've got a mural just over here too, which I'll take you down to.
The 2 biggest monasteries in Meteora are the Great Meteora Monastery behind me, as well as the Monastery of Varlaam, which is right next door. Now, I'd probably allow an hour to an hour and a half for each of these monasteries because they are the biggest ones and there's a lot to see. And be mindful, the Great Meteora Monastery closes at 3 p.m. each day, and it's also closed on Tuesdays.
So what did you think of Meteora, Jay?
I was so impressed by Meteora. It's such a spectacular landscape. The monasteries are so impressive. Just how they managed to get them all built all up on these really precarious positions is just amazing.
Yeah, it's just really impressive. It makes for some amazing photos, and your butt will be thanking you at the end of this. That's quite a workout.
It's definitely a leg day when you come to Meteora. And what I'd also say is make sure that you time it well, because they're not always open at the same time. Some of them close earlier than others. To make sure that you maximize your viewing pleasure, make sure that you allow sufficient time to get around.
Oh, we recommend you do it in 2 days. You're going to be run off your feet if you're trying to capture everyone in the one day.
Yeah, but highly recommend coming being here. This has been our highlight of Greece so far, and it's just out of this world.
Yeah, so we hope you liked this video. If you did, make sure you click that like button and leave us a comment.
And we do plenty of videos like this of our travels throughout the world, so if you want to follow us along our adventures, please subscribe to our channel.
We are Bucket List Travellers.
See you next time.